Okay, in this routine we'll be going through 5 different balance drills that integrate our foot and hip function and also get some pretty serious challenge when it comes to our strength and mobility. So they are a bit more advanced in that sense, but as long as you can stand on one leg comfortably, then you are fine to give these a go, and I will show ways to make it easier or harder. So let's get stuck in. Okay, first up we've got spin taps. So basically standing on one leg and we're spinning around like this to tap our free foot as far as we can in one direction and then in the opposite direction, basically trying to reach around that 9 o'clock point on the clock. If you can't quite get there, just reach as far as you can. And obviously trying to stay as stable as you can on this leg. If you need to go slower, that's fine, but you can also play with picking up the speed. We're doing 30 seconds on one side and then changing sides, 30 seconds on the other. So seemingly very simple, a little more challenging than it looks, but it's a really great way to get more of this dynamic balance, moving around this stable foundation, or over time it'll become more and more stable. Next up, we're moving to a high knee hold. So that is where we are grabbing our knee like this, lifting it up with our hands as high as we can. Ideally that's above 90 degrees, but if you can only get to 90 degrees, that's fine. Keep this stance leg straight. Now that just means not bent forward like that, but also we don't want it completely locked out or hyperextended. So just off, completely locked out, and then lifting up with the hands and then letting go. You can have your arms out like that if you like. You don't really have to have your arms out. The main thing is that hip doesn't drop below the level that you lifted it, or you're trying to avoid it. You can build up to 30 seconds here. You'll do a total of 30 seconds on one side, and then you'll change to the other side. So the sequence is lift, let go, squeeze everything nice and tight to not allow that leg to drop. Having your hands out here and squeezing your fists can kind of help you create that tension that you need. But like I said, you don't have to have it there. And it's probably a bigger balance challenge if you have your hands behind your back. Again, if you need to do 5 seconds and then have a rest, repeat 5 seconds, basically a total of 30 seconds, and build up to doing the whole 30 seconds at once for each side. Next up, we're moving to hip airplanes. So from here, we are hinging back like this back leg staying as straight as possible. Where the airplane comes into it is arms are out and we're sort of banking the airplane like that, rotating, bringing, if we're on our left side, bringing our right hand to touch first, coming back to neutral, and then left hand to touch. So again, we're trying to add in this dynamic rotation through the trunk while keeping this stable foundation at our leg. 30 seconds on one side, 30 seconds on the other. Now, if you need to, you can just reduce the range of motion here. You obviously won't be going to the ground, but it'll be a little bit easier. But obviously over time, you'd try and build up the range and get those taps to the ground. Next up, we've got a side kick. So setting up, lift one leg off the ground, go into a little bit of a hinge, which from the side just looks like this. Then you're lifting this knee out to the side as far as you can, kind of like a dog wing. Now that is fine there. If you just want to do slow reps of that or hold that for up to 30 seconds. Otherwise, you can also try and add in a kick at your top range. Trying to Straighten out that knee as much as you can, point your toes. Whatever level you're up to, 30 seconds on one side, 30 seconds on the other. Lifting up as high as you can, getting that knee as high as you can. And then if you are up for it, just going for that kick. And that'll be a lot of challenge for your hip mobility and hip strength in that position. It might feel a bit crampy. So if you're finding it's cramping, just back off the range. Even if you do a little kick like that and come back as a way to build up to the full kick, that's fine. And then last up, we've got rotation taps. So this is where we're actively trying to rotate our hip into external rotation. And that is what we'd call an inside tap. And then an outside tap, which is hip internal rotation, is coming up to touch like that. So the straighter your trunk is with that, the more work your hip's gonna have to do. If you can't quite reach your hand, that's fine. Even just trying to do it is fine. Or you can bend down a little bit. But the more you bend down at your trunk, the less obvious it is that your hip is not doing as much work. So try and stay straight and just build closer and closer to touching your hand. And that'll be a more honest way to do it. 30 seconds on one side, 30 seconds on the other. Quite simple, but impressively challenging, and gets us moving through these ranges of rotation that we often don't get in our daily life. So plenty to keep you busy there. I know that video would have felt a bit rushed, but it's best if you learn the movements and then set your own timer, 30 seconds, change to the other side, 30 seconds, rest whenever you need to throughout that whole routine. And your hips and feet should be feeling on fire at this point, and you should be finding different ways to change the movement to improve over time. So hope you enjoyed that routine, and if you're finding value in these videos, please like and subscribe. We do put them out very regularly. And otherwise, if you're looking for more structured programs and guidance from our TFC pros, then we do have our Explorer community membership that you can find out all the details in the description below.